Hello, my amazing artists. Welcome back to Art with Mrs. Knowles. We are going to be creating a coffee painting today, and we're going to use the art element of value for this project. So value is the lightness or darkness of a color, right? When you take a color and you add white or you add black. And you can see on our color wheel, like if you look at yellow, and then you have adding white, adding black, and adding gray. So those are value, and we've talked about value before. So let's get started on our coffee painting. All right, so we are going to get a little bit messy with this project today, but that's part of the fun of art, right? So you can see my value on my fish. I decided to do a koi fish, but you can decide your subject matter. And I tried to add, some darkness, lightness. So you're trying to show us some value through your picture. All right, so what you're gonna need is a piece of white paper. It does need to be white in order to show us the value. You're gonna need something that you can mix on. I have a paint palette, but you could use, for this project, since we're using water, you might wanna try using some little bowls if you don't have a palette. I have some water, I have a paintbrush, and I have my coffee. Okay. Now I am using regular coffee. Instant coffee is actually way better for this project if you have that. I don't, so I just use regular coffee. If you don't have any coffee, tea also works. If you open up the tea bag, and then you can basically do the same thing with the tea leaves. Okay, your first step is you're gonna want to use your pencil and very lightly draw whatever subject matter you want to do, but just keep it simple, okay? No tiny little details. So I did a koi fish on mine, so I'll just do that. Remember, keep it simple. That means large shapes. Eyes. All right, so that's pretty much just a simple outline. Okay, so now I'm ready to start painting with my coffee. So I already have some water on here, and what you're gonna wanna do is add some water to your bowl or whatever you're using to mix on, and then add some coffee into the water. So the more coffee that you add to the color, the darker the color will be. The less coffee, the lighter. So let's see. Okay, that should be about good. So we're gonna start painting. Now, if you're doing this at home, I would let the coffee sit for, I don't know, 2 minutes, not very long, but we'll just go ahead and start painting. So you're gonna need, you already should have added some water into your coffee, but I just have my water over here so I can rinse my paintbrush off. Now, since my coffee is just regular coffee, it is not really gonna dissolve, but I'll show you how to deal with that. So I'm just kind of mixing it up a little bit. And you can kind of probably already tell it looks like a light brown color in this one. So I'm gonna start with that light brown color. And you wanna go, as you're painting the value, you wanna go lightest to darkest. So you're gonna add your light value first. And the reason why we're doing that is because you can build up the value of the color, right? You can make it darker, but you can't take away color. So I'm just going around my fish. You notice I'm dipping my paintbrush back in the water to add a little bit more water in here. Just trying to make sure I have enough. Now you'll notice as I'm painting that I'm getting some of the coffee grounds on my picture. And you might be thinking, wait, I did not see that on her original painting. Well, you're right. I just let this dry for about 30 minutes. And then I took it over the trash can and I brushed it off and the coffee grounds came off. So you're just left with the color. So it works pretty well. Okay, I just have a little bit more to get all the way around. Now I do want to do a darker value on my fish. So I'm gonna come over here, make sure I'm mixing this up. Okay, but this is still pretty light, so I'm just gonna start by doing this value all over my fish. Remember, don't worry about the little coffee grounds. Those will come off when they're dry. Unless you're using instant coffee, because instant coffee completely dissolves. So that's why it's pretty nice to use, but well, like I said, I only had regular, so. Okay, so you can see I'm just painting the whole thing, the whole fish. And then I'm gonna go back on top to add a darker value. Okay, so I'm gonna come back in just a minute. I'm gonna add my darker value, so one more value on top of this, and then I'll show you what I've got. All right, so I went ahead and added a darker value to the top of my fish, and I made sure to go all the way to the edge of my paper. And you might notice it looks kind of like one of those old-timey photographs, doesn't it? That were, you know, from like the 1800s when they started doing it. Okay, I am going to let this dry for about 30 minutes, and then I'm gonna come back and show you the last step. All right, it is an hour later. My coffee painting has finished drying, and I took it carefully over to the trash can, and I just sort of gently swept off all the extra bits of stuff. So now you should be able to see my fish on there. And for the final part of this, I'm going to use a brown colored pencil and just trace over my pencil lines. That way it'll make your design pop a little bit more, and it will cover those pencil lines too that you can probably still see. But if you use brown, it will kind of go with the entire composition, right? Might add a couple extra lines here. All right, you can see the finished product. So there's my one that I did with you guys. Here's my example that I had finished before. They're a little different. So enjoy your coffee painting. It's gonna smell really good in your room while you're doing it. And I can't wait to see what you guys create. Bye-bye.